matter we need to take up before the jury can decide. Your Honor, I'm going to ask that you give the jury a curative instruction, and the reason for that is something that I said in opening statements. During the opening statement, at one point I had mentioned that there was blood on the victim's shirt. That was based on a previous conversation I had with the ME when my understanding from him was that it could be consistent with blood. After speaking with him, the ME medical examiner, yesterday and going through more of these scenarios in the case, it's my understanding now at this time that he's not going to be able to say that it is consistent with blood. Therefore, the state is not going to have any evidence as to that statement I made in opening. So based on the case of Alexander versus the state, which is 270 Georgia 346, in 1998 case, that is still good law, I'm going to ask for a curative instruction that says as follows. Opening statements are not evidence. In opening statements, it was stated by the prosecution that there was blood on the victim's shirt. The jury is not to consider that statement. And I can show you the case in...
Means exactly the same thing?
That, I'm sorry?
Or you just tailored that to fit this case? Thought you were reading from the case.
Oh, no. I've just tailored it to fit the case based on what the court in State versus Alexander. In most scenarios, they say the fact that a judge mentions or states, opening statements are not evidence, that can be sufficient. However, there are circumstances when to point out what is not, if you've made a mistake, to actually let them know that that was a mistake and they're not to consider it. And so in abundance of caution, I am asking that you give that instruction to them. And I have a copy of the case if you'd like to look at it.
Okay. What do you say, Mr. Queen?
Bring me a copy. I'd like to glance at the case real quick, and then, once I glance at the case, rehear the proposed curative. What's the proposed curative?
The proposed curative is opening statements are not evidence. In opening statements, it was stated by the prosecution that there was blood on the victim's shirt. The jury is not to consider that statement.
Here's my position. I don't think the situation in Alexander is really on all fours. In Alexander, from the way I read the case, the defense stated ahead of time, and there was a motion in limine concerning gang evidence and how there was nothing. And then the state said in the opening that there was gang evidence and made no attempt in order to produce gang evidence. So it's like the state went forward knowing that they had no evidence to prove the issue at hand, which was critical because it was a gang-related, allegedly gang-related murder. In this situation, it's a little bit different because we're really talking about an issue which isn't really critical to the case. What's on the shirt, what's not on the shirt. If the state does wish to go forward with the curator, in my opinion, should state that the state is going to present no evidence of that and disregard it. Or there is no evidence of it and disregard it.
Let me see what you propose. Please.
It's on an email, so.
State again what you want.
Your Honor, Ms. Andrews is asking for the instruction because she believes that the state cannot prove what she stated. Therefore, I'm asking the court to instruct the jury that the state admits that it cannot prove those allegations. Therefore, please disregard that statement.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Ma'am.
Your Honor, I agree with Mr. Queen's assessment that the cases are somewhat dissimilar. I believe that the acts of what happened in the Alexander case was a lot. They talked about it a lot more. There was a lot more discussion about that and it being more central rather than a collateral issue. However, I'm asking for the curative instruction. I'm asking that you track the language in Alexander, and that is at head note, I'm going to say 12. Just make sure I got that right.
And I think I said there's open statements are not evidence. In its open statement, the state said that there was blood on the victim's shirt, but the state has determined that the evidence will not show that there was blood on the victim's shirt. Therefore, you, the jury, should disregard that statement. Any objection to that?
No objection on behalf of Mr. Wayne Brown.
I mean, I think it is more than is needed, but that's
Sure,
okay.
anything's needed. But,
I'm not sure, but just to be on the safe side, I'd prefer that than nothing.
anything else before we bring the jury in?
Judge Gardner, one issue that I know we're going into later, and just want to give the court a preview. I was speaking with Ms. Racine and Ms. Andrews this morning, and they gave me the photos, which they tend to use Dr. Gallo, who I guess is testifying somewhere before the end of the day. And that's going to be an issue. Let me just let the court know that's going to be an issue. We've already had 10 photos introduced through Ms. Tony Dugan, whichever name she wants to go by. But the state has provided me a packet of 60 autopsy photos, which they are seeking to introduce in this case. I've never seen 60 autopsy photos introduced in the case before. And the case law, it's pretty...
Whatever he needs to describe
Right.
his testimony.
When I talked to Dr. Gallo, he told me he can do this. He showed me 10 photos. He said, I can do this case in 10 photos. But the state's going forward with 60 photos. So that is going to be an issue that I guess at some point in time we're going to have to work our way through.
We'll see if y'all can pare it down to what he really needs to illustrate his testimony.
Judge, the state's position is that we have pared it down extensively. There were hundreds of photos taken as part of this autopsy. Each of them are significant, and the court would like me to go on record as to the rationale for them.
Well, we'll take it up when he gets here.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, bring it here.
Yes, Judge. Judge, would you like the witness to be in since he's already been sworn?
Do you? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give you this instruction. As I previously instructed you, opening statements are not evidence and are not to be considered as evidence by you. In its opening statement, the state stated that the evidence would show that there was blood on Kinte's shirt. However, the state has determined that the evidence will not show that there was blood on Kinte's shirt, and therefore I'm instructing you to disregard that statement in its entirety. We will now proceed with the rest of Detective Benton's testimony, and Detective, you're reminded that you're still on oath.
Yes, sir.
Code may continue.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Detective Benton.
Good morning.
We last left off talking about the complete investigation that you did into the case against Leon Williams. What I want to do is backtrack a little bit into the actual statement you obtained from him. You discussed earlier, and we introduced the Miranda form. And you stated that that was read to the defendant, correct?
Correct.
And that was State's Exhibit 89 that you saw?
Yes.
Just bring that up to you. Because it's a new day. That's the same document that you said was in Miranda form, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I want to just show that to you quickly, which has already been tendered into evidence. This is the form, correct, that was provided to the defendant?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you said you read that along with him, correct?
Yes.
The initials that we see on the form here and here, as well as along the bottom, whose initials are those?
Those are the defendant's initials.
Okay. And the bottom of the form we see, oh, let me just scroll that. If you could, please. Did the defendant initial or sign this document anywhere?
Yes, it
And
is.
if you could circle where that took place. And who wrote the name Leon H. Williams?
The defendant did.
Okay. And then anywhere on the document, did you indicate, did you sign the document?
Yes, I did.
And where was that? Oops, sorry, my fault. Go ahead. And we see on that document 428 and then 0037. What time stamp does that indicate?
That's the time that I completed reading in the form and he signed the form.
Okay. And you said that that interview was recorded, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 90 and 91. Do you recognize those two DVDs or
Yes.
CDs?
Yes.
And what are those?
These are audio recordings of the interview that I had with the defendant.
And do you recall approximately how long was that interview?
Approximately an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. And this is all the same interview, just broken up into different storage devices, correct?
Correct.
You only interviewed him during a time period on one day.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Speaking of which, I did want to talk to you about that. On your Miranda form, you have 4/28/17, but it says midnight. Was that actually 4/28 or 4/29 that interview started?
It should have been 429.
Okay. It was late.
Yes.
All right. Judge, at this time, we would ask tender into evidence states 90 and 91.
Objection.
And if we may publish.
Because I was at the hospital and
Okay, all right. Take a look at 2640, it is April 29th at 0:33 hours at police headquarters. Interviewing with Mr. Leon Harvey, reference to case number 17-041441. Also have Detective Guest in the room. That's number 2390. As well. Okay. All right. So I got some forms for you here, Mr. Williams. Can you read and write English? You can. I'm going to give that one to you. I got the same form here. I'm going to read out loud. I want you to read with me as we go through this, okay? You understand what I'm saying? All right. So we're going to start right here. I'm going to give you a pen. I'm going to read each statement. Don't get ahead of me. As I read each one, if it's true, up here, if these are true, just put your initials next to them. You understand? All right. So the first one here at the top says, I can read and write English. If that's true, just put your initials there. All right. The next one says, I'm not under the influence of drugs or alcohol. If that's true, thank you. The next one says, I've completed a blank grade of school. I want you to put the grade here and an initial.
masters.
Okay, so put 12 and then out here write masters. Masters of whatever it is. We can just put masters then. All right. All right, so we're going to drop down here. It says state of the Miranda rights. Down here, I'm going to read them to you. If you understand them, I want you to initial, okay? That's just what your initials only mean that you understand what the statement means. Understand that? All right, since we're recording, that's all right, I appreciate it, thank you. All right, so the first one says you have the right to remain silent. If you understand that, just initial. Next one says anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you while you're being questioned. You cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You may exercise these rights and not answer any questions and make any statements. All right, the next line down here says, I have read my rights and understand each one of them. That's true and initial. All right, did you initial all of those we just read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So drop down, the next line says, understanding these rights listed above, do you wish to talk to us at this time? If you want to talk to me and tell me what's going on, you initial yes. If you don't want to talk to me, you initial no.
I'm thinking about that. Because I don't know what it means if I say yes and no.
What do you mean, all the things?
Who if I say yes and then I get knocked up and I say no?
If you say yes, what that means is you're willing to give me a statement or talk to me about what happened tonight. If you say no, that means you're not going to talk to me. That's all that means. All right, which one did you answer? Yes, okay. All right, so you answered yes to that one. I need your signature here. Need your print there. All right. information on there correct?
Yes, sir.
The address is right and everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Do you need some water or something? Because your voice is cracked. You need me to get you some bottled water? If I can have bottled, that's fine. I'm trying to find that bottled water. Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm just going to kind of take some notes as we talk tonight. So if you see me writing, it's not that I'm not paying attention, I just need to take notes, okay? You understand all that?
Yes.
All right. So, I just want to hear what happened. What happened tonight, the whole story.
From when?
Well, let's start here. What time did you call? Let's start with, did you call 911 tonight?
I had my mother call.
Your mother called, okay. So what time was that she called?
9 something.
Okay. So,
8 something.
let's back up. Let's back up to like lunchtime. Tell me around noon. Tell me about your day from noon until how we got to the hospital.
Lunchtime, I was on the highway coming back from Jackal Island because I was there this week for a conference for work.
Was that noon? Let's say lunchtime, noon?
Yes.
Okay.
So about that time, I would have been on I-95.
Okay.
And I came back, got in the city and stopped at my fiance's. About 4:15, stopped at my fiance's house.
What's her name? What's his name?
Willie Swain.
Where do you live?
I don't know that exact address, I just know how to get there, but it's off of Dogwood Harvest.
You ever talk to him?
770 990 5434.
And you said it's off Dogwood Farms?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna get him water.
Appreciate that. It's got our flash on Dogwood Farms and areas that are stopping?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what time was that you stopped, you said?
I got in town about 4:15.
So about 4:15 when you stopped?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And from there, went to pick up Kente. It was about 6:30. Picked him up from Atlanta Preparatory Academy on Boulder Crest. Then we started talking about his week in school. Because this week in school he had a very, very bad week. He kicked the teacher a couple of times, called the teacher and the principal a bitch. He acted like, bucked up at my mother like he was going to fight her. So we were just talking about his week and why it was such a bad week. Because the plan was that before I left, I told him that if he had a good week, that we would make some cookies and brownies and I got back this weekend. Went by Family Dollar on, I think that's Boulder Crest, Clifton Springs. Got left there.
What time was the Family Dollar?
It was right after I picked him up because I got to him at 6:30, so it's about a 5-10 minute ride. So, then left there, went to Rose's on Candler Road.
What time was that?
That's probably about a 10-minute ride, I guess.
Did you stop at Family Dollar?
Yeah, I did stop at Family Dollar, went inside, they didn't have what I needed. Then I left there. And the reason why is because I went in there trying to find, because I had surgery from back in January, and I almost and I was having some internal bleeding. So I kind of wanted to find a particular, thank you.
All right, drink you some water so we can get it clarity in the voice and understand what you're saying.
Went to in the Family Dollar, like I was saying, because I had surgery back in January. Then I started having some internal bleeding and went back in the hospital. So just went there trying to find some and I'm pausing because it's embarrassing. Because I have to wear them, is the thin maxi pads, and I couldn't find them. So then I left there and went to Rose's.
What's your evidence? What do you say?
At that time, I had a hemorrhoidectomy, had some complications with that, and then the complications were it was the internal bleeding, but they couldn't find out where the internal bleeding was coming from.
So overall, how you feel? You feel good?
Other than just always cold all the time.
So how long were you in the Family Dollar? You said you got there about 8:40. How long were you in?
Walked to the back of the store, and I probably walked to the wrong end of the store because I was just trying to get home because I'd been on the road all day. So it wasn't even 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Were you there total more about 5 minutes or so?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. So Family Dollar,
And then went to Big Lots.
what time? When you say you went to Rose's, what time did you get?
I'm sorry, Roses. It was Roses. I apologize. It was Roses.
What time did you get Rose's?
From it would have been about 6:50ish, 7 o'clock-ish.
So from 6:50 to 7, you were at Rose's?
Yeah,
Okay.
walked in there.
All right. Where did you go to work next?
Left Roses and then went home. And
You said something about Big Lots.
no, it wasn't, we didn't go to Big Lots at all. I didn't mean to say Big Lots. I apologize.
So 7 o'clock till what time did you get home?
Maybe 7:15ish. Stopped and talked to my neighbor. Because we were talking to Kente about how his week was in school and all of that stuff that he had done earlier and the stuff that he'd done earlier in the week, the fact that he called the teacher a bitch, kicked the teachers, and tried to fight my mom, who was watching him this week for me while I was in Jekyll Island.
What's your neighbor's name?
Her name is Yolanda Ingram. We call
Yolanda?
Yeah, Y-O-L-A, Ingram. We call her Precious.
Do you know where she lives?
I don't know the address. I just, as I like to say, she lives down the hill from me. I don't know her address.
You got the phone number for her then?
And my phone.
We'll get that in a minute, baby. All right. So at about 7:15 you got home?
Yeah, went in the house and then was sent him upstairs he gave me his stuff out of it. He put his book bag down, went upstairs in his room, and then I was went outside and walked the dogs.
All right, so what time was it? You went straight to his room about 7:15 when you got home?
Yeah, I went outside and walked the dogs because my dog, my boy dog is having some complications where my mother told me he's not using the bathroom like he's supposed to, and he wasn't eating, so I took him out to see if we could get, I tried to get him to eat a little bit of food, but I was hand feeding him, and I remember saying to him, I'm not going to stand and do this to you all the time, and then I took him outside to see if he could urinate, because he's not urinating.
What time was that? What time did you take him outside?
Probably about 7:17ish, because I wasn't in the house 5 minutes.
So keep going.
And from there, I came back in the house, stood outside for a while, because I always let the dogs at least walk around for about 15-20 minutes. He was still trying to poop and urinate. He didn't, he wasn't.
I understand. So what time were you outside?
I don't know, I don't wear a watch. I just said,
But if you give me times up to now, you said 9:17, you were walking the
no,
dog.
not 17.
No, excuse me, 7:17, you said.
I said about 7:17, so it was about 15, 20 minutes we were outside. So,
That was the same period of time, so like 7:17 to 15 minutes later, you stayed outside?
yeah, 15, 20 minutes, yeah.
All right.
Came back in the house. And asked him where he, and then asked where he was. He was still upstairs, sitting in the hallway. And then I came, then he came downstairs, and then I said, come on, let's go take your bath. He went upstairs and ran his water, got in the tub.
What time was that?
I don't know the time, so if I was outside 15, 20 minutes, so about 7:45-ish, I guess.
7:45, you told me to go to take a bath?
Yeah, I want to say it was about that time.
Okay.
And so, walked in my room, he was running his water, walked in my room, bath water, walked in my room, put his and turned on the light, and then came back over, and he was sitting in the bathtub. And then again, we were talking about the week at school, and I was kind of fussing because it was really a bad week for him. Basically asking why he was calling the teachers those names, why he was kicking the teachers, why he was jumping up like he wanted to fight my mother. And then his response was, I don't know. And I was like, well, can't say you do know. My thing was to him was, I believe you're acting like this simply because I was out of town, because you don't act like this when I'm in town. I was sitting on the toilet talking to him, and he was in the bathtub. Then I went to my room, because I like to make sure he washes at least 3 or 4 times, because today he came home extremely dirty today from the after school program, because it was grass stains in his pants, legs, and I noticed a hole in his, I want to say it was his left leg, I want to say. So I wanted to make sure that he washed himself. So he was in the bathtub. I walked over into my room to change clothes, because he's normally always in the bathtub playing around.
Change your clothes?
Yeah, change my clothes.
What time? Okay, so you were talking to him while he was in the tub. What time was that?
It was until 7:45-ish, so I was making sure that he washed, so it would have been, I don't know, I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. 7:45-ish. So it would have had to have been about 8 o'clock-ish, maybe.
You were sitting in the bathroom talking to me?
Yeah. Left out of the bathroom to go in my room to change my clothes.
What time was that?
Probably about 8:15-ish, I think, maybe. Came back to his, in his room, found him laying in the tub, pulled him out of the tub, laid him on the, and because he was non-responsive, laid him on the floor and started doing CPR.
What time did you find him?
I don't know. I don't know. began to check on him, see what he was doing. Like I said, found him non-responsive and laying in the tub, non-responsive, pulled him out of the tub, laid him on the floor, and proceeded to do CPR. He coughed up some water. Kept calling his name, trying to get him to respond, and kept doing CPR. And then I eventually called my mother up and told her to call 911. And I don't know what time that was.
You remember what time she called 911?
No, because I just remember us getting to the hospital, and they were, or us riding to the hospital, because I went and grabbed some shoes and a shirt, they were working on while they were in the back ambulance. And I kept talking to them, are y'all getting the pulse? Are y'all getting the pulse? Or is he breathing? Is he breathing? Kept trying to find out some information about him. They kept trying to get me to calm down, and I talked to them in the back, let them work on him, because they were taking me to the best hospital. They were taking him to the best hospital, and which is Eggleston. And they were taking him to the best hospital, and Tom gave me instructions about when we, the one that was driving, when we got to the hospital, stay, just get out of, when we got out, stay out of the, kind of stay back, let them go in first, and follow behind them, and I said, so don't do it like they do it on TV, where you normally see the person when somebody's going into the emergency room, they're right there with the person on the stretcher. She said, no, not like, it's not like that. Then went to, they got him in a room. They were working on him, and they were talking. Saying they were still trying to get a pulse, because I kept asking about a pulse and if he was breathing, and they had gotten a pulse, and I was sitting there in the hallway, and they said there was I don't know who she was, but she was a Caucasian lady sitting there on the side of me trying to keep me calm, and they were telling me to breathe. They called the chaplain over, and don't know. All I know is he had on, I think, a pink shirt and some blue pants. They were trying to keep me calm and talking and telling me to breathe, and I kept trying to find out if he had a pulse, if he was breathing. The ER doctor came out and knelt down in front of me, talking to me, saying that they still hadn't been able to get a pulse on him, and they were going to do not an MRI, the thing that they use for the ultrasound for the belly when one is pregnant. I think that's what it's called, ultrasound, to see if they could see if there was any activity on his heart, if they was getting any movement on that. And then they asked me if I wanted to go in there, and then I walked in while she was doing the ultrasound, and she, even before she was telling me about when she was telling me about the ultrasound, she started telling me that she, that they weren't getting a pulse and they were going to try one more time, that they did real good, gave him some really good medicine, and he didn't, he was unresponsive. And so they were going to try one more time, and if they asked me if told him I was walking and see about the last time. So I walked in the room while they were doing the ultrasound, and I could see there was no heartbeat. And she said, and we're going to put the time at the 9:04.
Okay.
And I was a little hysterical or whatever, falling all over the floor. They got me on a stretcher and laid me down, and I was like, I need to go. I can't stay in the hospital. I need to go. I need to go. I can't stay in the hospital. Saying something to the effect is that this is one of the things that he and I have always talked about, because every time he does something that I'm the one that has to answer for all of this, and was just
Say that again?
I said I'm the one that has to answer for all of this because and then I was rambling about how he had put his head through my wall because I didn't give him a birthday party for.
What do you mean you're the one that has to answer for?
Because he's so light-skinned, or
I don't understand what you mean. What do you have to answer for?
because when I've had DVACs call on me twice because he had marks in his face for stuff that he did because he doesn't eat.
So what would you have to answer for tonight is what I'm asking you.
That's what I'm saying. I was just rambling about that stuff. I was just saying, this is what we had always talked about. This is the type of stuff that I would always have to answer for, and that I was going to get blamed for it, and that they were going to say that I was an unfit parent, and all of that.
Let me hold you up here a second. So, from the time you picked him up today to the time you found him in the tub, did anybody else ever have, not control, I guess is the right word, but you were caring for him the whole time?
Yes, sir.
You were in contact with him the whole time?
Yes, sir.
Did he have any injuries today?
No, sir, not that I was aware of. The only ones that I saw was when I noticed on his feet when I pulled him out of the bathtub and I was trying to do the CPR on him.
What was on his feet?
I noticed on his right foot, the skin looked like it was peeling, and then on his, I think it was his left ankle, the skin was pulled backward.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Was it there before you got in the tub?
No, sir.
It wasn't there before you got in
No,
the tub?
sir. I don't know. No, sir. I don't know. I've never checked his water, so I don't ever check his water because he normally knows he runs his water by himself, because I've had to stop him from taking showers because he really would be having the water too hot. So when he sits in the bathtub, he always runs off from completely cold water. So I never checked the water.
He filled the bathtub up with cold water?
He has in the past.
So today you were sitting in the bathroom with him, right? So when I'm in the bathroom and the tub's full of water, I don't have to stick my hand in and know it's hot or cold. You know, the bathroom gets warm, it steams up or whatever. So was the water hot today or was it cold?
I guess it was where he was saying, because he was sitting in it, he was standing in it, he was washing.
So how did he get those injuries? You said, listen, you told me you were in the bathroom with him the entire time.
And then I went to my room.
Okay, so how did he get those injuries?
I don't know. That's when I noticed it when I pulled him out of the tub. I don't know.
The tub was the water hot, warm. How was it?
To me, it felt warm. I just picked him up and put it. I don't remember. I just picked him up and put him on the floor. I don't remember.
You think it was hot enough to burn the skin off his feet like that? Did you see it?
Possibly when he was in the hospital. See that.
Let's see.
What do the injuries look like? What do you... I mean, what do you think would cause injuries like that, just in your opinion?
Maybe the water was too high, maybe, I don't know.
You ever stuck your foot in hot water? Real hot water?
I've actually burned myself with water that was boiling.
On your hand?
Yeah.
What do you do when that water hits your hand?
I put my hand back and then, I try to stick mine under cold water.
Yeah, so do you think somebody would stay in hot water that was hot enough to do that? These are pictures of his feet. Is that what you remember seeing?
That's what I was
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. That's what you remember seeing?
Yes.
You think somebody would stay in the water long enough to do that on their own?
Him, he would.
He would?
Yeah.
He would stay in the water?
Because he does self-harm behavior.
So, this one, I want to make sure I'm clear. You're telling me that Kente, I pronounce it right?
Mm-hmm.
That Kente filled his bath water on his own,
Yes, sir.
hot enough to burn the skin off his feet, and he was in that tub burning the skin off his feet with you sitting on the toilet next to him, and you didn't know anything about that?
And I said that I got up and walked out of the room.
Did he drain the water while you were gone?
I drained the water when I went to grab him out of the tub. I hit the thing.
No. When he walked out to change your clothes, did he drain the water and refill it?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Okay, so the water was the same water when you left as it was when he came back.
Right.
So you're telling me that water was hot enough to burn the skin off his feet, and you're sitting on the toilet next to that bathtub, and you didn't know anything about that? That's what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. And now I'm feeling like y'all are trying to make it seem like I did something.
I'm not trying to make it seem like
I
I'm just trying to get clarity.
Yeah, I understand, but what I'm saying is what I feel like right now.
I'm going to show you another bruise that was on him from there. On the same one, just a little further down. There we go. So,
I don't know what this is.
yeah,
I don't even know where that is.
there it is. So these are the same bruise. One's just a little, zoomed in a little closer than the other, okay? This is on his left side. This is his hip. This is a bruise. You see that? Can you see that bruise right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Hoop shape. Here's the same bruise, but just a closer shot.
Right.
Right? What caused that?
Like I said, when I picked him up from the after-school program, it could have been to where he was either outside wrestling because he had a whole bunch of jeans on it. He had his clothes were really, really dirty this time, and he had a hole in his pants.
What's your son?
Yeah, I adopted him. November 19th. We finalized November. He got placed with me on June 27th. We finalized on
June 27th of 2016.
and we finalized on November 19th of 2016.
How long has he been with you?
He got placed with me on June 27th of 2016. We finalized on November 19th of 2016. And that's why I'm telling you all, he does self-harm behavior. He has put his head through my wall before because I did not give him a birthday party. Most recently, I was coming back in from walking the dogs because I would go walk the dogs at 5:45 in the morning while he supposedly sleep. I came back in my house. His room is right above the living room, another room door, and I heard a bunch of bumping in the room, and I'm like, and I just went ahead and
Was she on the bed today?
Mm-hmm.
She was there?
She was downstairs.
She was downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So talk to me about discipline. How do you discipline him? You said
I take stuff away from him. I had already decided that because he had acted out this week, because I made the statement that he had lost his privileges for the rest of his life because he had acted out so bad in school.
For the rest of his life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, I've hit him one time in the past.
what do you
A belt on his behind.
Was that cause you a belt?
Not tonight, sir, no.
What does it look like?
I don't know. That's what I'm telling y'all. He came home with bruises.
Okay, look,
I mean-
let me tell you something, okay, because I've been doing this for a little bit, take guests are doing it for a long time, all right? We don't get, people in general, don't get bruises on their side in a very specific shape or very distinct shape from wrestling around on the ground. You know what I'm saying? I wrestled around on the ground when I was a kid. My kids wrestle on the ground. They come home with bruises. They come home with bruises on their knees or shins or elbows. You don't get bruises on your side like that from wrestling on the ground. So, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. What you tell me don't make any sense.
Right.
What was that?
And again, that's why I was saying when I was saying at the hospital, it was going to be made to feel, I was going to be made to feel like I was the one that did this.
All right. I'm not trying to make you feel like you did anything. I'm just asking, especially this one. You're sitting next to a 10-year-old boy who apparently, from what you're telling me,
That's self-harm behaviors.
and was sitting in a tub full of scalding hot water, hot enough to burn the skin off his feet. And you weren't aware of that.
No, sir, I was not.
How does that happen?
Because I wasn't paying, this time I was not paying attention like I should have been, because I was just fussing about his weed.
Didn't you feel it? How close is the tub and the toilet?
For me, I didn't feel any heat. Because for me,
You run hot water in a bathroom, you're gonna feel, we're not trying to blame nothing, we're just trying to get to the bottom of something. Okay, let's say we do this. Let's say we just don't even question about anything, and we just say, hey, we're not going to investigate this to see what happened to your son. Maybe something happened on the playground. That's cool. To cause this death today. Maybe it did. Don't you want to find out?
yes, I want to find
Okay, so
out.
stop saying we're trying to...
No, I said I didn't. Trying to blame me. I said make me feel like it's my
I'm
fault.
sorry how you feel. We're not making you feel like it's your fault. We're just trying to get to the bottom of how this kid died today. It ain't like he's coming back from that. He ain't coming back.
I know he's not coming back from that. I almost when I had my episode back in January. That's why I was trying to leave the hospital, because I did not want to be there. My grandmother, who I was like this with, she died in the hospital. When I went to the hospital in January, I did not think that I was going to be there.
He was dead before he got to the hospital. He was dead before he got to the hospital.
How long was it between when you found him and when you called 911? Or your mom called 911?
I don't know. I was doing the CPR, and I called her.
Was it 1 minute? Was it 15 minutes? Was it 2 hours?
No, it wasn't 2 hours. No, it wasn't that. Maybe, because I had her call. I yelled down the stairs and said call 911, and then I heard him gargling. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere, and I kept doing the compressions, and I heard him gargling, and I was doing the breaths on him. He spit up some water, and I kept doing the compressions.
Where did he spit water up at?
In his room on the carpet.
So you took him out of the tub?
Out of the tub. It's on the floor, because it's not the way the bathroom's set up. It's not enough room for me to it wasn't enough for me. It wasn't enough
So
room.
describe the house to me. Describe the layout of the house.
When you walk in the front door,
Tell you what,
I can't draw it out, do the best I can.
I'm sure you can. It's just squares and stuff. You draw it for me.
Front, this is the living room. Well, this is the front door here. The stairs are over here. Here. His room is right above would be the living room, because the TV's on this wall. His room is right above, would be right above that.
I'm interested in the bathroom in relation to
That's what I'm getting ready to go. That's what I'm getting into. His bathroom is here. His bathroom is right off here. Then his his bathroom is right, would be somewhere right here. The tub is here, the toilet is here, and then the sink is here on that wall. And then my room is right on the other side. Then there's a large room here. Then my room is right there on the other side. With the kid, back downstairs again, that would be the dining area, and this would be the dining area. So right above that would be my bedroom. So in my bathroom, this would be my tub. This would be his, this would be my toilet, and that would be my sink with my mirror right there.
Okay, so does his bedroom have direct access to the bathroom?
Yes, he had his own private. He had his own private. He had his own private bathroom.
Okay, all right, all right.
We had separate, it was separate mixed style.
Okay. So, let's just get back to how old he drowned in that tub? He's a 10-year-old boy, right? Any kind of physical issues? Physical medical conditions?
He had ADHD and autism.
Okay. Anything else?
Just seasonal allergies.
Allergies? So there was no like major medical conditions?
You know,
And he's 10 years old?
right. And I did find him laying in the tub one night. I did find him laying in the tub one night in the tub of water.
How high do you feel?
I guess if this is the tub here, it would probably be about here. Probably be about
6 inches?
I guess so, yeah.
So he was laying 6 inches of water when he drowned before?
Yeah, he was just laying back asleep. Like this right
How
here.
much water was in the tub?
Maybe double that, maybe. I don't
12 inches of water?
maybe, because I don't know I'm not good with measurements. I don't know how that is.
So when you found him, how was he laying?
He was laying face down.
Face down?
Yeah. No, on his side.
Okay.
And I had not even given him his medication yet because he takes clonidine and Strattera.
Okay, what was it?
The Strattera is for ADHD. The clonidine is the sleep is what's given to him for sleep.
And you said you had given it?
I had not given it to him.
So you just fall asleep in the tub? I mean,
I wasn't in there with them. I was at the beginning, but when I came back, I wasn't in there at that time. Because he had self-harm behaviors, and I went to go change clothes, came back to check on him, and that's when I found him.
Change clothes.
I didn't even finish changing clothes. I went and took off shirt, and then
How you went in the room, took off your shirt,
and then I took off my shirt, took off my pants, and then came back in there to look at it.
let's stop right there. Why, if you went to change clothes, right, you left the bathroom, he was fine when you left, you went to change clothes, why would you not put clothes back on before you go check on?
Because I didn't hear him in there playing, because he does play in the tub.
So you would go along there and take your shirt and your pants off?
Right, but he does play.
Seconds.
Yeah, I know it takes seconds.
So it only takes a couple more seconds to put your shirt and pants back on, right?
Yeah. I went over there. I didn't hear him because he does like to splash around in the tub and all that, and I didn't hear him.
Splashing while you was using the bathroom, using that splashing and playing.
Yeah, because I kept saying to him, quit splashing, because one of the things that I did say to him is quit splashing me with water. Don't splash me with water, please. Don't splash me with water. And I was telling him to
You splashing and playing in some hot water that's hot enough to burn his food. I'm just asking, I don't know. I don't know.
So let's give it a minute. In the minute it took you to walk out, take your shirt and pants off, you realized you didn't hear him anymore. What was going through your mind then?
What is he in there doing now? I actually thought he had gotten out of the tub.
So rather than get dressed, you went back in there? How were you clothed when you went back?
I had on my underwear because I don't have on a t-shirt.
Okay. So you went back in the underwear?
Yes, sir.
Rather than just put the pants back on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I didn't hear him.
So how long total were you out of the bathroom?
Maybe 40, not 45 minutes, maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half, maybe.
So in that minute?
Because I went in there and turned on the light, tried to find these pants right here. because my mother had washed my clothes for me.
So in the minute and a half that you walked out, he drowned? Is that what you believe happened?
I found him lying in the tub.
Was there anything, other than laying in the tub, was there anything that raised your suspicion as to what happened? Or do you think he drowned in the tub?
I think he drowned in the tub, because
So in 1 minute, he walked out of the tub.
because he can't take place, and again,
All right, listen, sir. He's 10 years old. He's not an infant.
right, I understand
He's
that.
10 years old. He's able to get in and out, he's able to bathe himself. Is that right?
I said, right.
That's what I'm asking. No medical conditions. He's perfectly
Not to my knowledge, and because the first thing I thought is that he had a seizure or something like that, and I never thought, and this is just me
Has he ever had a seizure?
no, and that's what I was saying. That's why I thought he had one or something.
Okay, so you walked out of the bathroom for 1 minute, came back.
It had to have been one and a half
Okay,
minutes.
so minute and a half, and he came back, he was unresponsive and drowned. Is what you believe happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So what would you say if I told you that the doctors, the professionals, said he had been dead for a long period of time?
What's a long period of
A
time?
long period of time.
Because I was doing CPR on him.
I'm not talking about like 15 minutes. I'm talking about a long period of time.
No.
What would you say? What would you say if I told you that?
I'd be shocked.
You'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you and Kente have any confrontations today, any arguments today?
I did say that I was fussing at him about while we were talking, I was fussing at him about how he had acted during the school. That was while he was in the school. While we were walking, while we were in the car, because again, my thing was, he knows that he doesn't act like this. If I were in town, he wouldn't have acted this way.
Right.
And one of the things I did say to him, you called the teacher a bitch, why you never called me that, why, all of that stuff.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with him, like, in your apartment? It's an apartment, right?
Yeah, the townhouse.
Okay, in your townhouse complex, did you have any conversations with him, like, outside? Any arguments with him outside?
No.
None at all?
No.
Okay. All right. What if I told you, the neighbor told us that they saw you arguing with him outside today?
They didn't see me arguing with him. I was fussing with him.
Okay, well, that's a conversation.
No, I was fussing at him. I wasn't.
Okay, well, that's a confrontation, right? Well, that's what I would qualify as a confrontation.
Okay.
An argument of some type of disciplinary thing, but that was outside your apartment today?
When I got out of the car, we walked over to my neighbor, and I told her that this was what he. I told her what he had done earlier in
And
the
I'm
week.
talking about between you and Kente. Were you fussing him outside today?
Not in the apartment complex, no.
So what if I told you that a neighbor said they saw you today and kept fussing at him outside your apartment?
I wasn't fussing at him. The only thing that I said to him is when we were walking to the house is, come on, let's go. Because he was actually walking in front of me.
Were you touching him?
No, I wasn't touching him.
Okay, so let's do it again. What if I told you two neighbors told me the exact same thing at different times? That they saw you, both of them describing the same incident, saw you fussing at him outside your apartment today?
I don't remember fussing at him outside my apartment.
So they're lying?
I'm not saying that, but I don't remember, I'm telling you, I don't remember fussing at him outside my apartment.
All right, look, we're going to wrap this up, okay? I mean, none of what you're telling me makes sense. I think the detective guess will agree with that. None of this makes sense. Here, I'm going to summarize it. You told me your 10-year-old son filled a bath full of scalding water, hot enough to burn the skin off his feet, got in that tub on his own, with you sitting as close as being detective guest are, I assume, in the bathroom, while he burned the skin off his feet, and had a conversation with him about his discipline in school.
No screaming, no, I mean,
And
yes,
he's
no.
playing this whole time, splashing you. But you told me you didn't know how hot the water was, but you said he was splashing you.
He was, but when the water was in me, it wasn't wet, it wasn't hot when it was in me.
I'm just summarizing what you told me. So he's sitting in this tub full of scalding hot water, down and burn the skin off his feet. And you sit right next to him until you walked out of the bathroom for a minute to a minute and a half and came back and found your 10-year-old son, who was perfectly physically capable. You found him laying on his side in the tub, apparently had drowned in a minute to a minute and a half. Now, if I'm telling you that story and you're sitting in my seat, does that make sense to you?
No, sir, it does not make
It
sense.
does not make sense. I understand self-harm. I've dealt with cutters. I've dealt with kids who bang their head on stuff. I completely understand self-harm.
The only thing he has not done was cut himself.
Okay, well, I completely understand self-harm. This is not self-harm. So I need you to, we're going to do it one, I mean, either you're going to tell me the truth or you're going to walk out of here. I mean, that's the bottom line, because you're lying to me for the last almost hour. You've been sitting there lying to me.
I'm not lying to you.
So what your statement is, your son sat in a tub full of scalding hot water on his own.
Yes, sir.
Burning the skin off his feet while you're sitting inches from him, and you didn't know anything about it.
Yes, sir.
And then you walked out of the bathroom for 1 minute, and he drowned in that 1 minute.
Yes, sir. So what y'all are making me feel like is that I did this.
Wait a minute, we're gonna stop you.
Or insane, no, you're insane, no, y'all are insane, no, because y'all are insane, but you're not doing that.
We're gonna stop talking, you know, we'll just give you a little time.
Detective Guest, after listening to State's Exhibit 90, does that still appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the interview that took place on April 29th?
Yes.
Okay. Was that the entirety of your interview with the defendant?
No, it was not.
Okay. How long was it from that time where you stopped that portion of the interview to where it was reinitiated?
5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Very short period of time.
And just to be clear, the recordings that you typically do within DeKalb County, are those typically audio only?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously there was another individual in the room with you. Who was that?
That was Detective Guest.
And is it customary to have another detective present during defendant interviews?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you said that this interview occurred starting around 12:30 in the morning, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. What was Kente's time of death, approximately?
Somewhere around 9 o'clock.
Okay. So this is about 3.5 hours after his child was pronounced dead?
Correct.
Okay. And there were some pictures that you showed to him during the interview, is that correct?
Yes.
And where did you get those pictures from?
I took a few photographs while I was at the exam.
I want to show you what's previously been marked as States 21 through 29. If you could take a look at these and see if any of these appear to be similar in nature to the photographs that you showed to the defendant during that interview.
Yes.
And did you show him all of these photographs or some, or do you recall which ones in particular?
I believe I showed him, would you like me to take the numbers?
Yes, please.
I believe I showed him number 29, number 28, 27, and I believe 26.
Okay. And so, in showing him those photographs during that interview, the response, the reaction is what was recorded in your statement, correct?
Yes.
I want to quickly, who reinitiated the interview?
The defendant did.
Okay. And how was that done?
There's a uniformed officer in the hallway outside of the room he was in, and he was able to make contact with that officer, and the officer came and located myself and Detective Guest.
Okay. Now, during his statement, he provided you with a timeline, correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure if this will work, because I don't know if these markers are working right now, but let's try. So the timeline that he gave you in the first part of the interview. He stated that around noon, he left Jekyll.
He stated he was on the interstate around noon, coming from Jekyll Island.
Okay. And that around 4:15 in the evening, he was at his fiance's.
Correct.
Objection leading.
Okay. What if
Don't leave
anything?
you weak witness.
Thank you, Judge. What if anything did he say he did around 6:30?
At 6:30, he stated he arrived at Kente School, I believe it's called Atlanta Preparatory Academy, to pick up Kente.
At about 6:35, where did he go?
He left the school and went to Family Dollar, I believe.
And after Family Dollar at approximately 6:50,
He went to Rose's.
at approximately 7:15, where did he say he was?
He was back at his apartment complex.
And do you recall him admitting to who he and Kente spoke with prior to actually entering his home?
Yes, he said he spoke with a neighbor named Yolanda Ingram.
Then at approximately 7:17, do you recall where he said?
He was walking his dog, or dogs.
Do you recall what he said Kente did when they returned to the home prior to him walking the dogs? Which room Kente went to?
He said he went upstairs.
And did he say approximately how long the dog walk lasted?
I believe he said approximately 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes.
Do you recall what he said happened at about 7:45 p.m.?
I believe he said he came inside and Kente was still sitting upstairs in the hallway.
Do you remember what, if anything, he asked Kente to do?
I believe he said he called him downstairs and then told him to go get in the bath.
And do you recall what he says happened about 8:15?
About 8:15, I believe he said he walked out of the bathroom to, I believe he said change his clothes.
And about 8:20, do you recall what he says happened?
I believe that's when he went back in the bathroom and located Kente in the tub.
And what was Kente's condition?
He described it as laying on his side, unresponsive.
Listening to your interview, does he ever indicate how long it took him to call 911?
No, he stated that he didn't know how long it took. I believe what he stated was he began CPR, and at some point after instructed his mother to call, and then
Do you, oh, I'm sorry.
no, that's it.
Do you recall approximately how many inches of water he said were in that tub?
About 12 inches of water.
And would it aid in your testimony to utilize a ruler to indicate how big 12 or how long 12 inches is?
Yes.
Judge, I'm going to object.
I'll sustain the objection. Your Honor's only allowed on 12 inches.
A foot is a foot, isn't it?
Well, Judge, I think certain folks are better at estimating.
Well, I'll sustain it.
Could you show us in your approximation about how deep is 12 inches of water from the table?
Somewhere around there on the tabletop.
Okay. And so you said about 5 minutes later, he initiates bringing you all back into the interview room, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And was that interaction recorded?
Yes, it was.
And is that captured in State's Exhibit 91?
Yes.
And is that interview broken up in 2 pieces?
Yes, it is.
And why is that?
After he called us in the room, I started the audio recording. We took our seats and there was some type of technical malfunction with the recorder. So the recorder stopped recording for, I believe it was about 20 seconds before I noticed that it was not recording anymore and I started recording again.
Okay. So there's about a 20-second gap where there was a malfunction.
Yes.
Do you recall what, if anything, was said during that 20-second gap? If there was anything of significance? Or would you rather re-listen to it and then see if that jogs your memory?
I'd rather re-listen to it.
Okay.
How you doing? You say you want to talk to me? Say what?
You're trying to go to the board.
What is that? Cold water that wasn't, and it wasn't enough hot water. When I turned the hot water on, and he did tell me it was too hot. But he was also in the other thing that I forgot to tell y'all earlier is that he was in there acting like he was swimming. And I did try to grab him up out of the tub to keep him from swimming in the bathtub, but he didn't. But while the water was running, and kind of forgot about the water running. And then,
You think that's in front of the tree?
yes, sir.
You didn't think it was just hot water in the stove and the teacup?
No, sir. I wouldn't dare do that. No, sir. I wouldn't dare do that. God, no, I wouldn't dare do that.
What is that?
No, sir. And he would, at one point while he was in the tub acting like he was going to swim, he held his face under the water, and I called him, and he wouldn't get himself up. Called him again, wouldn't get himself up. So I pulled him up out of the bathtub, let him on the floor. He coughed up some water and stuff.
So while he was in it, he just put his face under the water and
Yes, sir, he did it.
when he broke him out, he wasn't breathing.
Yes, sir.
You said he coughed water up. You did that on your own?
I started doing compressions. And he coughed up some water and like whatever he had at I guess some of whatever was mixing what he had at the after school program. Yeah, it wasn't a little bit. I mean, it was just a little bit. It wasn't a lot.
You have to clean that up, did you?
There was a blue towel in the room that I wiped the floor because I went and grabbed a towel because I wanted to wipe his mouth because I knew I was doing compressions and I was going to do the mouth to mouth.
See, I didn't want to drag your mother down.
I don't know.
Because she would have told me what I need to know.
She don't know what happened.
No, but she heard something.
No, she was in the quiet. No, but hungry. No. No, the water was on running while he was doing his little swimming. And he was talking about the water. He was saying that the water was hot, but I wasn't thinking about that. But he was holding his face under the water. He was holding his face under the water. I wouldn't have done that to him.
Would you still upset about him cursing in school?
I was upset about him cursing in school, but I wouldn't have done that to him. Again, my response to that was that he was going to lose all of his privileges for the rest of his life.
Because you might be getting too much for you with an autistic child, your sickness. Sometimes we take on things in life that gets too much.
I have been trying to get post-adoption services, and I was talking to a friend of mine on my way back from Augusta, on the way back from Jekyll Island, and I was talking to her, and I said, if they can't provide me post-adoption services, I'm going to have to do whatever I need to do to terminate. Because I wasn't going to be able to continue to do this, with the self-harm and the
Were they helping you out financially? Or you don't know?
I'm sorry.
Were they helping you out financially?
They were getting, it was over about $1,000, but that wasn't enough to do.
$1,000 a month?
Let's talk about anything. You said if they wasn't helping you weren't going to hand out
Post-adoption services, because the last time I got them, when he on his bunk bed, because I had to take his bunk bed down where he stuck his, that's what I was trying to explain before. And do you mind if I say like this, or let me put my arms back out? The bunk bed is actually, the bunk bed was, this is the bunk bed, and there was a ladder here with the rungs. He had his head, and when I came in from walking the dogs, he had his head in the rungs, and he had got scratches in his face and a bruise on his face, and I had him, took him to school, and I said, Kente, we can't keep doing this. Every time you do this type of stuff, I always have to explain this. And D-Fax came to the house at Friday night about 10 o'clock. And we had a conversation about that. And then I'll get back to tonight. And I was telling him that, that I've been trying to get post-adoption services and I hadn't gotten it. And they and his question was, he said, so we essentially just gave you this child and just said, here you go, good luck. And I said, yes, sir. And he gave me the name of somebody up in that educational advocate.
How long were you trying to get the send the child back there?
No, I wasn't trying to send him back. That was the conversation that I had with him.
I mean, how long have you been feeling like?
No,
I'm just saying that I feel a little bit. Like it was a little too much for you. And then, you with your traveling, your business.
This is the first time that I ever traveled for work. I've never traveled for work. Today, this week for me did become a bit too much because for me to handle for this week while I was out of town.
So let's get back to the night. This week was a little too much. What was going through your mind tonight?
My thing was I need my thing was I just wanted him to own up to what he did. And again, I left the water running on a little bit too long.
You think you got a little rough?
Just a little bit.
How did you get rough with him?
While he was doing his little swimming, I think I might have pushed him down in the water for like 30, 45 seconds, so.
You think that was too long?
Yes, sir.
You think that could have closed his death?
Yes, sir.
How many times you did that?
Twice.
Twice. After the second time,
after the second time, he was still doing this thing. He was laying on his stomach. He's under the water, like he was moving. And that's when I went to go change clothes, and then I came back in and noticed he was on his stomach and on his side, and then I ran him out of the tub, hit the thing to let the water out, and put him on the bed.
So that's what happened tonight? Is it an accident?
You know, I hold him under the, Well, at least you know you got it on your chest.
I don't want to bring my phone and everybody into this, because it's my fault.
We put every told what happened. We could avoid that.
I don't want to go to jail.
Going to jail is, we just gonna do what we have to do, and then, it's gonna be up to, it's gonna be up to the court system. We just do our little stage, and then the court system do their little stage. You know, the accident does happen, like you said before. You know, you didn't need for it to happen, so much going on, so much on the autistic child, you being sick, you know what I mean? So things just got out of hand today. You know, you held them down long, and you're supposed to have them down. But you know.
And when I called, because that's one of the phone numbers, because on the way back from the...
What took so long to call, though? I mean, because...
No, I emailed first. I emailed the person who was over there in the Cal County. Oh, you mean 911?
Yeah.
Oh, I was, because he was...
After the chest arrest, they gonna say the time, what actually time did this happen?
I promise to God, I really don't know. Because it was when I pulled him out of the tub, I started doing chest compressions.
Something happened.
Yeah, and I was doing chest compressions, and like I said, he coughed up and he was breathing, and I thought it looked like he was breathing because I kept hearing him. So I thought he was breathing, but I never could feel the pulse, and then I called my mom. Yeah, and then I kept calling my mom, and then
How long do you think they took before you called 911? Actually,
I think it took maybe about 5 minutes because of
5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes because I was on chest compressions. He was doing this.
This is going to help us because they're going to come back with something. Hopefully they don't. Like you don't talk to them, they don't come back with something different.
No,
with that time frame because if something needs to be said, like you just said,
no,
down. Again, it was a mistake, it was an accident, but you don't want to mess up on your time frame.
No, it was 5 minutes because I called her and I thought he was trying to breathe, and I said no, hang up the phone. He's breathing because I kept seeing the rising because I know you have to, when you do the brush, you have to make sure you look for the rise in the chest, and he had a really good rise in his chest.
So I guess one more detail. When he was doing his little swing thing, were his feet toward the faucet or was he?
Yeah, his feet were towards the faucet because that's how he always sits in the tub, and then he, if this is the faucet over here, he always sits at the extreme close to the faucet, so then he turns over and did his little swim.
So that looks like it just came out this week. With a big accident.
Did you actually see it burn his feet?
No, sir. I didn't notice it until I got back until I pulled him out of the tub.
Now, we're being honest with each other.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I believe you, and I want to thank you. I thank you.
Because I mean,
because like I said, I wouldn't go in on mom. I really would.
I know if you were going to go in, I'll be honest saying you were going to go in there.
Because I got to be the voice for this kid. What I want to ask you is, because those things, we've been straight.
I hit him 5 times with the belt.
Okay, I knew that. Yeah, thank you for being honest with me.
Yes.
Hey, we see them all.
I hit him 5 times.
I have kids and they wrestle and play.
I hit him 5 times.
Look, let's ask again. So were you guys arguing or anything outside tonight?
don't recall arguing when I was walking with him, and I walked over to my neighbor, to Yolanda, and I said, we're sitting outside with one of her friends, and I was telling her what he had done in school, and she had talked to him, but I don't remember arguing with him like that.
Escorting him when you touched him?
Yeah, I did have him like this behind his neck, because I walked with him like that several times, because he has what I call spatial reasoning issues.
Did you say anything to him when you were
Walking into the house.
Yeah, when you had your hand on the back of his neck, did you say anything to him? Tell him what was going to happen or anything?
Was making a joke, and it was a bad joke. Now that I think about it,
What was the joke?
I know I gotta say it.
Take your time.
It was a really bad joke. And I just said he was going to die tonight, but it was a really bad joke. And that was not my intention. My intention was to pop him with the dog a couple of times for acting out in school. And told him and essentially told him, I said, and one of the other things I did say to him was to jump at me like you jumped at my mom earlier in the week, because he tried to fight her. And was talking about the whole bitch thing that he called the teachers. Do you even know what that means? Do you even know what that is?
We didn't say he was what was your social worker? Who comes by and check on his kid?
There isn't, once it was done, there is nothing. Everything that I've done for him, I've done by Google and by...
There's nobody we can call and talk to?
There's nobody ever came by except...
So who did you go through to get the child?
I went through DFACS, through Families First.
Families First. Doesn't happen?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Jerry. So they came and did their monthly.
I'm sorry, spell that again.
JAIRE. I did their monthly business project for the DFACS custody, and then once November 19th came.
You don't have a number?
She no longer works for DFACS.
Okay, fine, but she has a supervisor there.
Her supervisor was Monica Haynes.
Monica Haynes?
I think that was her name, Haynes. So can I at least have my mom come pick up my...
Let me go call and see what he had. Your mom, I want to thank you again. I really didn't want to take your mom through this. You know what I mean? Sir? Okay.
Is there anything else that you tell us?
I can't say that. I'm not sorry, no.
I know what's tough to say, but you did the right thing, tell us. So. We're back now. What stuff she thinks to do? What? She's what?
Let me talk to you. All right.
After having listened to those statements, those appear to fairly and accurately depict the interview that actually took place on April 29th with the defendant.
Yes.
And now in listening to that, do you recall what, if anything, was said during that brief gap when the equipment malfunctioned?
I don't recall specifically, but I believe Detective Guest may have mentioned interviewing the defendant's mother.
Okay. And you said in total the interview was about an hour or so?
About an hour and 20 minutes, I believe.
Okay. During that time, other than water, which we heard was provided to the defendant, did he ever ask for a bathroom break?
No, he did not.
Did he ever ask for any food?
No, he did not.
Okay. at any point was anything promised to him in exchange for a statement?
No,
Was he ever threatened?
no,
Okay. And you stated that who initiated the second part of the interview?
the defendant.
In the second part of his statement, what did he say caused Kente's drowning?
He said he held him under the water for 30 to 45 seconds twice.
What did he say was the cause of Kente's injuries to his feet?
He stated he turned the water in the tub on, and he turned it on too hot, and the water was hitting Kente's feet, and that Kente complained that the water was too hot, but he left it running.
Yes, ma'am. Need a break?
Yes, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take about a 15-minute break. I ask you to take a jury room for a recess. About 15 minutes.
All rise.
You may continue.
Detective Benson, when you talk about when you ask the defendant in your statement about the bruising on Kente's body, where did he say that came from?
He stated he hit him with a belt 5 times.
Detective Benson, in the statement that we all heard played, there's some discussion about it potentially, after admitting all these things, the defendant holding the victim down 2 times for 30 to 45 seconds, having water that was too hot poured onto his feet, and striking him with a belt 5 times, that it was asserted that it could have been an accident. Can you explain for the jury why are those interrogation techniques, interview techniques utilized when defendants are being interviewed?
When you're interviewing a person and you kind of give them kind of an out, it's easier for them to tell the truth if you call it an accident. So during the interview, when I mentioned it was an accident or possibly an accident, I believe that he was beginning to tell the truth, and I wanted him to continue to tell the truth at that time.
Do you see the defendant that you interviewed back on April 29th, 2017 in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
And if you could point to him and briefly describe what he has on.
He's sitting at the center of the defense table wearing a black jacket and a pink shirt.
Let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
No question.
Thank you, Executive. You're excused. You may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll recess for lunch. What we said until 1:15. Remember my early instructions have nothing to do with the case during the recess. And reassemble the jury room by 1:15. Of course, recess till 1:15.
All rise.